9, 8.
You're watching
7,
Experience Comic Culture
6,
and Sales.
5,
Streaming live daily to
4,
Facebook, YouTube,
3,
Twitch, and Twitter.
2, 1.
Everybody.
I have to do the thing so that Jay can actually be seen.
Aww.
Man, I was gonna say, hey guys, just joking, I'm here.
No, I have to edit the thing because Jay was gone for so long that it's a whole like process now.
Hey, Preston. Hey, Castle. Triple B's in the house. Fun fact, tonight we're also live on the Instagrams.
Yeah, we're not gonna be doing this every week like this, but we're gonna do it a little bit. So, okay, how did we have this done before? I think it was like this. Save. Update. Okay.
I hope everyone.
Hey, that works out.
I hope everyone's had a good time of finding the perfect present for their loved ones.
Yeah, I'm searching for a certain book. If you happen to have any of this certain book that I'm not going to say out loud because the person I'm searching it for is here, would you please call me? Thanks.
Okay. I'll read your mind.
I'll just tell you this much, Jen. I bought a book from Matthias last night at Nowhere Comics and Games.
Yes.
At 2:30 in the morning because he had one in the range of the price I was looking for. And so now I'm only searching for one more book so that Christmas can be saved.
Love it. Hey, Kenneth.
Man, that's about as vague as my reviews.
Correct.
Oh, you just self-burned. What?
Yes. No, this one very specific book I'm searching for is one of the few books I've never owned. But it's right. It's a hard one.
All right.
So we'll see what happens.
Look, I'm all Christmas colored.
Right. Shout out to Dan from Bigfoot Knows Karate. I know the icon. Yeah, Dan Price. Dan, I can never think of your last name. I just always see your icon on things, and it's like I know who that is now. So, anyway, he's over on the Instagram. If you're watching us on Instagram, hi the Instagram. Jen and Jay can't see your comments, but I can, so I'll try to bring them up. Okay. Should we get into it, Jay?
Yes. Yes, we should.
All right. Let's look at the books.
Okay. Ooh.
Are we the inside of a TARDIS? What is that?
In there?
There we go.
It's supposed to look spacey.
Okay. It's on my space TARDIS. I'm just going to claim it as Commander King. I'm going to claim it as my space TARDIS.
That's
okay.
Fine. All right. Let's go to the first book. There we go.
Okay. So this is not a normal thing for me to do, but I love everything that Eric Powell does, and the rest of the team for this book is top notch. So this is actually a graphic novel. It's not a super thick, but a really great hardcover that this whole team has done. So I think that it has, for the first 6 pages or so, it's kind of an introduction. It looks like, for all the world, a bunch of people getting together in Victorian era to have like a gathering at Christmas time to like chit chat. But you find out slowly in this introduction part where they, the people that are there to commiserate and to tell stories to each other are, Becky Cloonan and Eric Powell and Jamie Herm and Mike Mignola. And they don't look anything like their real selves, which is pretty fun. But it's all that beautiful watercolor stuff that Powell does. So it is 4 stories as they're telling their best kind of Christmas Eve spook stories. So for you guys that are out there that like spook, this is you don't have to give it up for Christmas. You can keep on going with it. They're really good. I say grab these up, and they're great for gifts too, because of course they're a hardcover book. So, sometimes it's hard to gift what we call the floppies, so the individual comic books. Although you still should. This one's a perfect gift. And look at the cover art. Look at the cover art.
Plus, you look like you read real books when they're hardcover.
That's right. No one has to know that you're reading the comics.
All right. Army of Darkness Forever.
Great
My
cover.
goodness. Oh. Look. You always shop smart, shop S smart. I missed issue 2 of this, but it looks like the shtick that they're going for with this series is we're following 3 different timelines. There's 1300 AD with Sheila, there's 2093 with Ash, and then there's 1993 with Evil Ash. There's not too much to say about this book, folks. It's just a bloody romp through time with a ton of callbacks and the witty banter you would expect from the boomstick, chainsaw, metal hand wielding Ash. The 3-part timeline usually in most books doesn't work for me, but somehow they do it in this one where it is really easy to follow. Fans of Ash and Army of Darkness, if you're a fan of that movie, I know it kind of splits off from the first Evil Dead 1 and 2, technically part of the trilogy, but this one is the comedic part of that trilogy. You need to hop on this book and tell me if this book is just me with my nostalgia glasses or if this book is just that good, because I always have a good time reading anything Army of Darkness. So you should definitely go and check this one out if you haven't yet.
I think it's cool to see Tony Fleece do this, since we're so used to a different voice from him. Although we should have known better with Stray Dogs and now Strays. If you guys haven't looked at, he's got a nice YouTube video up to kind of like get you in the mood for that new series. That's Stray Dogs adjacent. You should go and watch it. Yes. But not right now.
No.
Lyle just called me a germ, and I take offense to that. I am a bacterius. I can be wiped out with Purell.
Hope you're staying warm, Lyle.
Yes. Okay.
Ooh.
This is my pick for book of the week.
Oh, we're going to have to fight.
I loved this book. And here's what I mean. Like, the book I thought was gonna be my book of the week is not my book of the week. Is it anyway? So the deal with Borealis is this. It's all set in in and around Anchorage, Alaska, but not specifically Anchorage, because it's actually set in a more rural area in Africa, which, as you know, you can't get to or from easy. If you know anything about Alaska, you know how hard it is to get places. So our main character finds herself, she's working as a cop, but she's a cop with maybe a little bit of a checkered past, because of course you have to have a checkered past. Otherwise she's not interesting. Mm-hmm. And in fact, her past is very interesting because it's as a result of being a cop. Except maybe it's not. You don't really know. But she winds up being shipped back to her hometown to sort of go undercover. And by undercover, everybody in her hometown knows she's a cop. So she can't really go undercover, but she has to count on the fact that they all know her from like a million years ago when she wasn't a cop, and that like people will just kind of ignore her because she's not a cop there. Like, you know, that kind of idea of blending in because you're home for Christmas or whatever, you know, it basically has the setup of a Hallmark movie, right? You're in the big city and you go home for Christmas, except she's not going home for Christmas. She's going home because her mom's dying. Oh, and it's the Northern Lights. So this is all based around Inuit mythology.
Ooh.
And creatures and things that are a product of the Aurora Borealis. And this girl is more connected to the Aurora Borealis than maybe she knows or would like to commit to. Preston, I would say this is like the old-timey Hallmark movies when it used to be, you know, a lover's murder, the Jane something or other story. You know, those kind of things. This is dope. Like I said, it's got this mythology to it, but it's got her grandmother who's a native, an indigenous person to Alaska who's, you know, got her mythologies, and then this girl who's kind of more modern, and there's drugs and there's gangs and there's violence and there's at one point our main character, minor spoiler, gets in a shootout with a drug dealer who winds up being the deputy mayor's son while high on fentanyl and seeing crooked, and still manages to shoot the guy perfectly. Like, it's great. I love this. And this is, I will say this, I'm going to make this a pointy book with no knowledge of pointiness, because this is something that you could easily see being a series or a movie starring a young Jennifer Garner type, or a Jessica Alba, like Jennifer Garner in Alias, or Jessica Alba during, what was that show Jessica Alba was in? Or, you know, Dark Angel, or, you know, one of these young kind of actresses who's also sort of an action star. This would be great with them. The artwork is cool. It's got some, the word I'm going to use is it's got some Andrea Moody in it.
Oh.
But it's not Andrea Moody art. It's a different style, but it's in some places it has that sort of washed out watercolor feel. And in some areas it feels very like modern. Here, let me see if I can show you what I mean. So this is just a small section of one panel where you can kind of see what I mean by having that Andrea Moody sort of washed out watercolor feel.
Yeah.
But then there are other panels where it's like this, where it's a little more traditional looking. So, the one hang up I have on this book, I'm just going to tell you, there are a lot of Aboriginal words that I had to look up.
That works.
Because like, I was struggling to read them because like the names and stuff are, I don't know how to pronounce them, and I wasn't sure, and like it's just taking me out of it, so I looked them up. That book is out Wednesday, Lyle. Yes, definitely check Borealis out. I dig it. I dig it a lot.
Good cross pull for if you're currently reading Antarctic, which you should pay attention to because that's also coming out in trade very soon. Let your LCS know. Simon Burks is really messing us up with his awesome writing.
Or if you're living Lyle's life, this is probably a good pickup.
Right, baby. And by the way, he just called you an amoeba, so just so you're aware.
I you know, I was a big fan of the band Single Cell Paramecium, so I can get behind that.
Jeez. Okay.
Oh yeah, the gang war is still going strong. Cat is out of the bag. Tombstone's not dead. They're working together. He and She-Hulk and Peter Parker to try to fight this all-encroaching war that they've kind of divvied up everything. There's even a whole faction that's like, you know what? We only really need everything below Houston. Everything below Houston. That's not going to work. So this is really them going through specifically to probably 3 or 4 of the factions that are battling right now. Like Lady Mask and oh gosh, I can't remember all of their names because they're not characters I'm really used to being mainstream. They're usually kind of like the bad guy of the week that's always shows up over and over again to make trouble. So this is important because you do find out in this book that there is a difficulty now for Tombstone because it has become common knowledge that he is working together with Spider-Man to try to, stem this tide of them trying to kill his daughter, because she's clearly one of those in the big play for running everything. Because that's common knowledge, no one's ever going to work with him again. So he's trying to set everything up so maybe his daughter has a chance, or somebody, that he thinks is not going to destroy everything. And the end of the book has a big twist for who he brings in. Things are desperate when you bring this person to be on your side.
I'd like to point out the fact that this time I actually looked at the years to make sure I had the right cover.
Success.
All right.
Curse words.
Okay. I didn't read it like I was supposed to. But Jay took it over and then I read it anyway.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna give my review real quick. Just shut up and buy the book.
Yeah.
That's my review.
You want to know something?
You're not going to read all of Curse Words if you're just going to read the first part of it is like saying you're just going to watch the first couple episodes of Reacher.
Yes.
That's dumb. You're going to be up until 5 a.m.
No. It's saying you're only going to eat one Pringle.
Yeah.
That too.
Not true.
There's a reason the brand name has an S, and it's this.
Does anybody have favorite characters? I kind of love my favorite character name is Syzygy because it's just dumb.
Right. The thing that drew me to this book the first time was the koala.
Margaret.
And it's still the thing that made me love this book.
Yeah.
Pat bought this book because the main character is his last name. Anyway.
I bought a double page spread of art from Brown because I was just like, I won't forgive myself if I don't. I think the character, I think it's Violet.
I have on one of my sketch pieces, one of my jam pieces, I have Ryan Brown. It's a Spawn Kills Everything, and Ryan Brown drew the characters from this on the sketch cover with a whole bunch of other people drawing their characters from their creator-owned books, getting killed. Oh, John, I already love this book. I read this book I read this book before it came out because Ryan Brown.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to give it a quick pitch for anybody that hasn't been talked into buying this immediately by their friends? Someone want to do the quick pitch?
Well, Jay read it for review. Why don't we let Jay do the thing?
So, evil wizard comes to Earth to destroy it with a spell. Stays around for a while, and on the day it's supposed to happen, he decides, you know what? Nah, I think I'm just going to chill. I'm just going to chill and tell these people, I'm actually here to protect you from other people that would use magic to hurt you. And then he becomes this suave dude we see on the cover. His name is actually Wizard. He's a wizard named Wizard, and he has a koala named Margaret. If that doesn't sell you, I don't know what to give you. I got nothing for you. This book is amazing. It's irreverent humor. It's just an awesome story. Even if you don't get the compendium, find you an issue or two, get you a trade. I guarantee you, you're gonna love this book if you haven't read it yet. I will guarantee that.
I think you can still get the first volume and images when they do the volume 1. I think they're just $10. I think this is one of those program books, so it's real cheap.
100% worth it, folks. I'm telling you. Two thumbs, incredibly high up.
There's almost no foul language in this book, which is pretty funny. It's really about because he uses magic. It's about that kind of curse.
Right. You're cursed, or be cursed.
So,
6 people got that, and I love that Jay was one of them. Miss Jen's like, I have no idea what's happening right now.
So this compendium, if you were to get it, just know it's 756 pages. And if I didn't have to do this show, I probably would have read it all. Because
Is it dumb cheap? Is it like $60?
I think so. I can't remember. The last time
If
I
you
looked
give
at
me a
it.
second, I can tell you.
Danhausen.
Yes, that was our Danhausen joke for the day. While I look this up, something else, you guys, if you decide you like it, something else they did for curse words. They did a number of were they previews or ash cans that are super fun to collect because they're all wild.
Oh yeah.
Didn't they also have a van that you could get? It was airbrushed on the side.
$50 for this massive compendium book.
That's giving it away. Oh my gosh. That's
yes.
It's like $1 a book.
Yes, that is ridiculously good. Shut up and take my money, Image Comics.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get to the next book before we spend the whole show on this.
Yes,
one.
we could do that.
Good.
Yes. Okay. So this book is taking on a weird life of its own in my brain. Because Jay goes, was it you or Miss Jen who was reading a book called Canary? And I'm like, I never read a book called Canary. And he goes, Scott Snyder and Dan Panosian. I'm like, I never read a book called Canary. And then I looked at the book. I was like, oh, yeah, I read this book. And so I had to remember what it was. And I remembered because this book is like 75 pages. And I started to remember, oh, yeah, the first book was really long, too. So Wyatt Earp, essentially, meets Albert Einstein, but with rocks. Ooh, Wyatt Earp meets Bert from The Big Bang Theory.
Oh, yeah.
And they wind up going to like research this mine cave-in. That's the first issue. This issue is finding out more about the mine cave-in. And what you're going to learn is there's way more to the story than you'd think. We talk about on this show a lot that sometimes we see patterns in our books, and I had 2 books this week that featured not an insignificant Native American or Aboriginal or, First Nations story arcs, right? This book has, the Native Americans in this area knew that this area was like bad times. No, it's not Wyatt Earp versus the Punisher. It's Wyatt Earp is the Punisher. But what you find out is that if you follow supernatural shows or movies or whatever, and they talk about ley lines, that this town where this book is set is on what is believed to be a ley line. And that may be something to be contended with. So there is also a real big twist at the end that the cover does kind of look like Wyatt Earp in House of Slaughter, and I kind of dig that. But no, it's this. There's a big twist at the end that really kind of. Okay, you got me. Just give me the next book, please. I'm hard hooked on this book.
And I love that they figured out a way to make a perfect name for it, because isn't the canary what they used to take into the mines? And if the canary was still alive, then they knew the air was good.
Yes, a canary in a coal mine. Yes, is a whole thing. But it's also the name of the town, and there is a place called Canary, so it's a real place.
Oh, wonderful!
Yeah. I don't know if the real place is anywhere near where this place is supposed to be, but there's a place called Canary.
Lyle's just determined to find the perfect 2 things together. I love it.
No, it's, dude, I'm going to put it this way. It's if the Punisher was also the Winchesters from Supernatural. That's how I'm going to put this. This is Supernatural meets Wyatt Earp.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, man. All right.
I love the success he's having on this, by the way. Like,
me too.
Now that it's hit stores, like it 100%.
Oh yeah. So Kingwood Press that you see there at the bottom of the book is where this was originally printed under his. It's his own imprint. So this is your chance to see it in the wide market. If you can have the original prints of these, they're exceptionally rare. But this is actually in development at, I believe, was it Hulu? That's what my brain tells me. It's in development somewhere. And this is exactly what it sounds like, except for she doesn't just fight demons. There are just every kind of mythological, like vampire, werewolf, demon, whatever. They're all existing in this universe, but it is during the timeline of when Harriet Tubman would be around. So you see real people doing real people things, but also in the background, there's this like all of the inhuman creature types there are, I think, figuring out that even if they all banded together, not all of them are going to survive an interaction with Harriet, and they know that. So that's how powerful she is. So it's really amazing art. If you aren't already picking this up, just pick it up to enjoy it. It is David knows what he's doing. I love seeing him when he sets up at conventions. He sells out every day. He has to put a limit on the amount of books he sells per day, because otherwise he'd sell out in one day and then have nothing for anybody. So jump in.
So here's what I will tell you, Miss Jen. Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer in development is not something that has been publicly publicked yet.
I thought that it had already been announced long ago.
It's been announced that it's been developed. It's being developed, but it's not been announced by who.
Oh, by who? Okay. Well, I don't know then. I was just making wild guesses.
Yeah,
Hulu seems to be the place that everyone lands. So
it's been publicly announced that they're developing it, but not by who.
Okay. So somewhere.
The rumor was that it was going to be Paramount, but we'll see.
Okay. That'll work. All right. Me again. Okay. So I reviewed this one to make sure you guys understand that they're ramping up to a big storyline that's going to kind of like culminate in issue 150. So here's a heads up so that you'll won't miss anything. If you are a fan of The Last Ronin, you will be a fan of where they are in this series, because there are some time jumps or portal jumps that get them to what appears to be future times. So they get to see older versions of themselves. This does have if you aren't caught up, there's new turtles that are part of this series because of the city at war. There's a bunch more creatures because there was something that went out and turned the humans in that universe into the animal versions. So there's way more of them. You still have April. What else? This one flows right out of the Armageddon game, in which you find out there is actual character named Armageddon, which is something that you might not know. You should know that going in. And I would say, if you were ever a Turtles fan, you should use this place to jump back into the series. If you kind of wandered away, this is the right spot.
If you wanted to read a little bit more, you could go back to 140.
So the right.
That was also a jumping in point as well. I'm going to tell you guys why I didn't read 146. And it's because this is the one issue in this run my friend didn't do the art on. So I'm like, I can take a break.
Lyle, I think the majority of these books are out this week. I think
everything on the list. Everything on the list, as far as I can tell, comes out this week.
Okay. All right. That's me. Hold, please. There we go. Had to get my notes. Okay, so
Hey, Bueller.
I had the strangest feeling while reading this that I've read this before. And I did. This is volume 2 of something that we read on in stores this week. So I had already read this before. Now, luckily for me, I can't remember what I read yesterday. So took me a while. I read through the first issue, and then when I got to the second issue, there was something in that I was like, "Oh yeah, I have read this before." So basically, what this one is Jennifer Blood ends up in a hospital, and she saves another patient who his name's Eagle, and Eagle is an ex-mob assassin, and these guys are here to whack him, and Jennifer saves him. But he's dying anyway, so he kind of doesn't care. Basically, what this book is two patients butts out in hospital gowns for this issue, taking down goons who were sent to kill each one respectively, but neither goon knows why the other goons are there, kind of thing. So it's kind of a comedy killing error kind of thing going on. And in this hospital, it feels like everybody is dirty except for maybe a nurse. So I think it's one of those like movie specialty hospitals where you send all the bad dudes to. It's quippy, it's bloody. It ends with Jennifer and Eagle making this pact to go on this bucket list that Eagle has of all these bad dudes he's worked for, and they're going to take them out. But the caveat to this is he wants to be unalived at the end of this by Jennifer. So
there are worse ways to go.
That's true.
Wait,
she's not going.
Is this a handshake deal or is this a contract deal? Because handshake deals don't ever work in any kind of entertainment media. They always cross you.
Yeah, it's a handshake deal. It's like I said,
but you know she ain't gonna miss.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just the first issue this happens in. That's the first issue. Remembering the little bits I do remember of what I read before, it's not that I felt like this is bad or anything, but the story itself to me is just weird. It's a weird story to me. But it is definitely one of those, if you are a fan of this character, you should go check this out. This is volume 2, Blood Debt, I believe is what yeah. So, I mean, if you're a fan of Jennifer Blood, you probably will appreciate this more than I did, and I still kind of enjoyed it, though. So, that should say something about it.
Okay.
Well, I can't wait to hear.
So you guys remember how I didn't like Rare Flavors issue 2? Because it didn't really do anything after issue 1 left you kind of hanging. Issue 3 does none of that. Issue 3 picks right up. Issue 3 should have been issue 2, in my opinion. Like, issue 2 was him just trying to transport spices from place to place and not being any of the person that he is. Issue 3, he's all the person that he is. I love the idea of a person having a clear and present destiny / thing they're supposed to be and choosing instead to become a chef. I love that idea. And then at the same time, I love the twist at the end of this book where chef becomes a term like person, where you got to use it in quotes. And it gets very, very interesting. My encouragement would be, if you've read the first issue, keep picking it up. If you haven't read the first 2 issues, this is a trade for me. This is one that, for me, makes more sense as a trade when you can read it in one setting. Or it makes sense to skip issue 2. Read 1, then 3, and then issue 2. Like, let it jump around in time in that way, because I think that makes more sense as an order of reading it. So, because I went back and read 1 and 2, and it makes more sense to read it kind of out of order. But this is super fun. Again, this feels like a spiritual follow-up to things like Layla Starr and some of these other books that Rom has done with Felipe Andrade. So if you're into it, great. If you're not, check it out. Read the first few pages or read a synopsis on the back of a trade. This is one of those that it's going to hit certain people great and it's going to miss others. And that's just the way this book is, unfortunately. So that's kind of got to be my review, because I can't really talk about it without spoiling anything. Because this book, they get into ingredients that are huge, massive spoilers. It's pretty great.
Ah.
No, I didn't put quotes around ingredients, Jay.
Nope. He just likes doing quotes. Okay. This is wicked cool. Okay, so I will just tell you that my first exposure to the X-Men was the 92 X-Men, because that's when I started in comic books, like 91, 92. But there's been a long discussion online for interesting. I don't know if it was because they knew this book was coming out, that people were like, I want my original X-Men team back, the early ones, when, you know, people didn't want Wolverine around. They really wanted to kill that character off in the early days. But so here's your original team. If you've ever wondered who was on the original team of X-Men, you got Cyclops and Marvel Girl. And you've got Iceman, Beast, and my brain stopped for the Angel. Man, I hate that when that happens. But so this one actually takes this team and tells a story that puts them at odds with Phoenix, but not in the way that you expect. So someone shows up in this and explains to them that there is another dimension, Earth, that in that world, the Phoenix from that part actually is that the one that actually chooses to be the Phoenix? I think the Phoenix asks them if they're okay with being merged, instead of the forceful thing that happens with us. And it brings in some storylines that you are familiar with if you read X-Men in the 90s. And if I tell you what those big story arcs are, then it would like wreck the joy of reading this book, because it goes and touches on some of my favorites they ended up being parts of big movies. So yeah, there's a book with Cyclops on the cover. Yes. This is before he had many, many issues to become a douche. So this one is pure. This one's pure.
Still
so if you like time jumps to try to go rectify a problem that exists, the person, and I'm not going to wreck by telling you who it is, that shows up and asks them to go and jump into this other universe to do their thing, chooses them because these guys were sent forward in time to take care of it already once before, but their minds were wiped when they were put back in their original timeline. It will mess up your brain, this book. It'll mess up your brain in the best way.
I hate time jumps.
I love them.
I think it's just funnier that Kyle and I kind of had the same idea about Cyclops.
Yeah, he's still awful.
I felt bad because another store owner today was like showing I think his wife made really great Cyclops cookies, because it's his favorite character of all time. He thinks it's the best X-Men. And I was just like, I feel bad that I'm throwing up on my mouth a little.
Oh,
They look like great cookies though.
Oh, I would totally eat a Cyclops cookie. It's the only appropriate way to dispose of Cyclops.
Poop them out later.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say bite his brain off, but sure, yeah.
Triple B thinks he knows. I bet you do. There's only a few big storylines in that era. So.
Dark Horse. Cancel Christmas and put everything you have into this book. And I'm only half kidding on that. I'm half kidding on that. Even being 2 issues behind, I jumped right back into this. Wasn't too lost. And before I knew it, I was just like, "Oh, that's it? The issue's over already?" not only in my opinion is this book really for He-Man fans, I think anybody can get into this. Anybody, even if you're not a He-Man fan. Adventure, excitement, some whoa dang moments. And let's talk about this art real fast, y'all. I know what you're seeing on the cover, but that is what you get in the book. I don't normally talk about the art in books too much. I don't go too far into it. But Tim Seeley has found just an awesome team in artist Eddie Nunez, colorist Brad Simpson, and the letterer and world design. This is some of the best art, and I'm not talking about just in a Dark Horse book. This is some of the best comic art I've seen in a while. That's personal opinion, but the art's beautiful. I could hang every page on my wall. Even if you are meh on He-Man, honestly, give this one a shot. Give this a shot because it's so good. Like we were reading a He-Man book before, and it was pretty good. It was a weird multi-dimensional kind of, but I myself am starting to get over the multiverse a little bit. This one's just a straight through story, and it's so good. It's so good. So go to your LCS and at least check out issue 1 of this. Superb.
Heliotopoulos. It is not. It has a huge cliffhanger ending. There's no way it could be a single shot. I would be really mad if they were like, and that's it.
Although, Cyclops has a single shot.
Sorry, y'all. My desk fell.
Anyway.
My dirt fell off my desk and hit my key.
Okay.
All right.
All right. I just want to real quick before I get into talking about Geiger, shout out everybody who's watching over on Instagram. If you guys want to comment, I'd be able to see your comments on the Instagrams, and we'll be good to go there. Okay.
Triple B's not wrong. Sorry. Go ahead.
Geiger Ground Zero #2. I did a thing over the last month while waiting for #2 to come out, which is I went back and reread Volume 1. And then reread issue 1 of Volume 2. So I could confidently say this book makes no timeline sense.
Oh.
But I think it's going to later on. I'm 90% sure that this happens prior to Geiger Volume 1, but that there are times where it's happening after Geiger Volume 1. Like it kind of jumps back and forth. You see him sort of becoming Geiger and learning how to Geiger. And then there are parts where he's figured out how to kind of control it. And he's able to be around others. Which is an interesting sort of thing that didn't happen in the previous volumes too much. So I'm not sure, again, I'm not 100% sure, but it makes no sense. That said, this book was a lot of fun because it really does show some of the breadth and width of the powers of Geiger. What exactly the nuclear reaction has done to this person to enable them to be what we know them as from the first volume and from issue 1. So I like that it's sort of an origin story, but it's not set as an origin story. It's set sort of as a mix, which is kind of nice. I don't love the time jumping because, again, it's super confusing, but you get to the end of the book and you start to kind of feel like they're going to set you up for either jumping with both feet out of this volume back into the original story, or it's going to leave you kind of at a flush point with that first story, right? Okay, this is how this all shakes down. They're giving you the details you need, but they don't all line up yet. So super fun, especially if you read the first volume and the first issue of Volume 2. Super fun, but otherwise super confusing. Ooh, I'm excited to hear about this one.
Okay, so this one was interesting because it is not a pure, like when you think about just like something that would be called The Agent, it's not a pure just like spy thriller. There is the magics happening in this book. Let's see if I can remember that. It's like one of those, the first ones I read, so now I have to like give myself an eyeball look at it real fast. I don't want to get it mixed up with anything else I read, although everything else was like sex robots, so probably not.
You guys know it's a weird week when Miss Jen reads all the sex robot books and Jay doesn't. Heyo.
Hey. Oh, this one happens in Paris, which I love so much. There is a ton of stuff that's going on. So it looks like she is an agent trying to make a bust. There's an exchange that's going down in the Paris subway. And she loses sight of the exchange for half a second. And when she shows up right where it was happening, there's some all kinds of weird supernatural stuff that happens. The bad guy seems to shoot a weapon, but it doesn't, as far as I can tell, hit anybody. There is some real trippy stuff going on. I love it when genres get mixed like this, where there's like, I love a good spy thriller Jack Reacher moment, which is what this feels like. But then you throw in like, there's something that's not natural happening here. What is going on? And it's supposed to make you feel a little disjointed, this one. It's not straightforward for its storytelling, because you're like, what just happened between those two panels that I didn't see? And you know they're going to tell you sometime, but not right now. Recommend. Good stuff. And, ooh. All right, so I don't know
This
if
is
you
my
guys...
favorite cover.
It is so good. So I don't know if you guys have been glommed onto the fact that Tom Taylor's Nightwing has been winning awards. It won 3 Eisners between writing, storytelling, and something covers maybe this last year. So this is the very best of, like, if you didn't know anything about Batman, you didn't know anything about Nightwing or his origin, you didn't know what was going on in the storylines at all, you don't need to know a daggum thing. In this one, it is clear in the last issue that someone he cares about very much, with the last name Blood, B-L-U, umlaut D, has been, for lack of a better term, thrown into a deep chasm of water that he's going to have to jump into if he's going to save her. It's clear in the past he's made the wrong decision in this regard, and makes the full dive and rescues her. What you need to know about her is she's also a pirate, and the main bad guy that you meet at the very beginning here has tried to take over her ship and has seemed to succeed. And this is all about him, about Nightwing actually standing up to, helping her out. And then it goes back and tells some good backstory that's interactions between him as Robin with Alfred, and him learning some things that inform you as to why his character is the way he is now. And yes, I think Castle's right about this, that it's very much a book not to be missing. It went from being a book that was like, okay sales, like from my point of view as a retailer, okay sales off the rack, and now we just can't keep it in stock. And I have people ordering issues. Like I had someone come in this week and order all the covers for issue 111 because they like the cover art so much. They don't want to miss it, because it's happened where people try to come in on the day of release and people beat them to them. So just try it out. You can jump in here. I learned all the stuff that I just told you from the way the book is written so well that I didn't need to know what happened in the book before to get completely caught up, because I have not read an issue of this for, I don't know, 10 issues or so.
I want Tom Taylor to write Jimmy Olsen.
Ooh, that would be good.
Okay. Go ahead and get out of the way. I think the main reason that I like this is because I feel
It
like
has good collars.
well, that too, but I feel like this is the closest I'm ever going to get to the vamp. Please, Nick, do more of the vamp. I've been asking for years. Do more of the vamp. Anyway, this is a good issue. It's got great art, great action scenes. It's collared up Vampirilla, uh, taking out baddies. We learned she's from a different Earth. I'm not exactly sure how the superpowers stuff works all that much, but she's in a couple issues. A couple issues ago, we thought this one guy was the main bad guy. Turns out he's not. She is basically looking for the head of the snake in this one, and when we find them, it's kind of a shock, kind of a surprise. For me personally, it's one of the better Vampirella stories that I've read. I know this is a super popular character. I'm just now kind of getting into the ladies of Dynamite, to be honest with you. And like I said, not a bad issue. If you're a fan of Vampirella or superpowers, again, you should go ahead and grab this. So
Jay's been so hung up on the vamp that it feels like longer than it is.
that's true. That's true.
All right. So I thought Tom King, Peter Gross, this is a hit. This is the book of the week. Trigger warning. Okay, like big time trigger warning. If you have an animal that is four-legged and in your life, don't read the first half of the book, because you never get to the second half. Because you're going to read the first half and then you're going to like cuddle your four-legged animal to death, which isn't that different from what happens in the first half of the book. Okay? I just told you without telling you. The second half of the book is what would happen if the Avengers were cats and dogs and Thanos were the people who run the pound. Okay? Have I told you what happens? I think I did. This is a hard one to read. It's a hard one to say anything nice about. Because the first half of the book is precisely what made people uncomfortable with Guardians 3. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know. And the second half of the book doesn't outweigh the first half. The first half is so heavy, the second half kind of misses in terms of overcoming it. If you could take the second 10 pages, second 15 pages, and make that the whole book and start from there, and maybe you see flashbacks to what happened, great. That's a better book than this. This is just really, really, really tough. So, I don't know who to recommend this book to even. Like, that's the problem. I guess I recommend this book to fans of if you read Sandman and you watched Sandman and you saw the animated story about the cat, and that like really spoke to you on some deep level, then this is that book for you. But again, it's if you're an animal lover, you're a pet haver, maybe just avoid this one.
Oh yeah.
Here's the sex robots.
Sex robots. All right, so that's not the real pitch to this book. It is for all intents and purposes a human drama. So the main character is
Hey,
a not
real quick,
human-
Miss Jen, we've got 2 minutes
Yep, I got it. Moving real fast.
and a whole bunch of books still.
Are we really? Okay.
Yes.
So-
John, no, I don't recommend for just Tom King fans.
So this pushes for the story where we met this really wonderful girl who just happens to be not human, who is basically in the sex trade. She and her clients feel like they all really love her. Like there's a great bunch of interactions that like you feel like they're more like sympathetic to her instead of just using her like a object, which is interesting. At the end of the last book, she actually decides she meets another girl that is stuck there in the facility with her, and she decides she wants to help her escape. She wants to get her out of there. So this book part is about her trying to move forward that plan. So the first book has got a lot more nudity and more about the ooh la la, and this one is more about her trying to figure out how to get out of there.
Okay, real quick, Philadelphia 32. Yes, Spawn is definitely in this issue as well for a good chunk of it. Still one of the best renditions of Spawn I've seen. Jason Sean Alexander kills it on art all the time, but his rendition of Spawn is just superb. Rodney Barnes is still giving a masterclass. He's showing people left, right, and center how you do a crossover correctly. This book also, other than the main story being awesome, there's a secondary story in the back of a book that I read on his Substack that I was super excited. So you're getting 2 awesome books in this issue, just like issue 31. So please, I'm telling you right now, even if you've never read Philadelphia before, which you should, go and put this on your pull list, because not only is it an awesome story, but issue 33 is going to have another big cameo that I can't believe is actually coming. So
Yes.
go. I'm so excited. Get this book.
He told me about this one and the next one when we were in Baltimore, and I talked to him about it.
I'm
All
excited.
right. Shift. Look, you got to read Radiant Black or Radiant Pink for this to make any sense whatsoever. If you don't read those, it's gibberish.
Good.
That's my review.
Deviant. Remember, this is about the comic book creator who has decided to write a book about a guy who, during Christmas, dressed up as Santa Claus and killed 2 kids, or maybe more. And he has met this gentleman, and the gentleman says specifically that he is not guilty of the crime. And this is them having some interactions, specifically in this book. The fellow going to write the book goes and meets the parents of the boys to get some more background, and then goes back and talks to the serial killer and gets some more insight, probably more about himself than you've ever thought. And I can kind of feel I'm on the cusp of figuring out the biggest twist ever in this book. Super excited.
All right. ComicShopLocator.com, ComicShopLocator.com. Gotta go. Bye.